Okay, next news story. Obviously, recently we had the reveal of what was it called? Project Foundry, running on Unreal Engine 5, which is a brand new direction for Halo. And now, in the wake of that, we're starting to see some aspects of perhaps what could have been projects that were never announced but are now coming to light and were rumored at the time. One of which was well, it's now cancelled, a Halo Infinite Battle Royale that was being developed by certain Affinity, so not 343 directly as such. And yes, we now have confirmation that it actually existed, according to certain Affinity's former design director, Mike Klopper. And he described it as, well, he said, I led a large team of designers working on a cancelled Battle Royale mode for Halo, so a mode, so not a game. I believe this product could have been a game changer for the franchise. We loved playing it and working on it. It was a fantastic experience in spite of its cancellation. Now, here's the thing, John. Me Too products, Battle Royales, that kind of thing. We're not hugely enthusiastic generally about them, but I've got to say, just the concept, if somebody said to me there's going to be a Battle Royale mode for Halo, I think I'd be all over it.
Gosh darn it, Rich. This is the third multiplayer game this episode that has me interested. What's going on here? I don't understand.
Well, it's kind of interested to a point, because you're never going to play it.
We're never going to play it. I agree. I feel like certain Affinity actually would have been a good partner for this, as they say. But, man, Halo as a Battle Royale, to me, makes a ton of sense and seems like a really interesting, good concept for it. I mean, just imagine, you go back to the Silent Cartographer map, the famous map from Halo 1. You have a map like that, and the whole map is wide open for Battle Royale action with all that Halo gear, maybe bringing in some of those drop ships. I don't know, like the whole thing just feels like it's the combination of Halo style physics where things can just go crazy and you never know what's going to happen, combined with just the aesthetic and the core gameplay mechanics, all of that coming together. That feels like something that would be a lot of fun to play. Mm-hmm. And Halo mechanically is still extremely different than the typical first-person shooter. It's extremely different than Fortnite, Call of Duty, and all that. And so the thing with like Call of Duty, you play it right, you go down fast. They kind of simulate that pretty realistically. Well, maybe still not actually realistically, but when you take down an enemy, there's like, you get the drop on them, they're down fast. Halo has the shield mechanic on top of the health mechanic, and that layered mechanic and the way it ties in with the different weapons creates a really interesting balance to things that I think would lend itself well to Battle Royale, because it means you can get into potentially a pinch like this where, oh shoot, you almost go down. But depending on the weapon that the enemy chose and the shield and everything like that, you have a chance to sort of survive that battle, then continue on and your shield goes back up. I feel like there's a lot of potential there for just something that feels mechanically different and still very engaging and suitably Halo. Plus just exploiting those types of maps. It would have been a great way to revisit ideas in addition to bringing new ones in. Like I said, I'm a Silent Cartographer as a Battle Royale map. I mean, you guys, that sounds incredible, right? Like, come on. Mm-hmm. Am I the only one excited by that idea? Like it's an iconic design.
No, I mean, I think the Silent Cartographer map is a Battle Royale. That's very interesting because it is like an island and you have all those little installations on it. And I mean, exactly. Now that you mention it,
I know.
That sounds very interesting.
What if it's Battle Royale, you can actually get up on top of the structures that previously required the Warthog jump, made famous by early videos.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that would be quite tremendous. Yeah, the grenade Warthog jumps. How could I forget? Of course. I'm in complete agreement with John here. I think this could have been really interesting. I think because Halo among modern shooters is really, really well suited to large scale multiplayer, I think, because like John said, the time to kill is fairly generous. Like you need to empty 2/3 of an assault rifle clip onto someone before they expire there. And the weapons aren't laser accurate. So unlike in a game like Call of Duty, where you're just able to kind of pinpoint someone from 200 meters and take them out, here that wouldn't necessarily be the case. By default, the weapons in Halo tend to be much more close range in terms of their application there. In games like Call of Duty, I feel like you have to adapt them a little bit to make them work for Battle Royale. Like you need to increase the time to kill. You need to start throwing in vehicles in there. Of course, in Halo, you have a really wide range of vehicles and they're all very player friendly and they have very responsive physics and they feel very good to control here. In Call of Duty, they have to add those in. They have to adapt the game here for like, especially for just a multiplayer mode, they already have all of that material to work with here. And when you look at how Halo functions, especially on big team battle maps where you have larger encounters with many players, I think this could have been very compelling as a mode. And I think that they have all the ingredients to kind of make it work by default. But on the other hand, I guess it depends on the level of development effort that would have gone into this, because I do feel that for something more discreet than just a mode for Halo Infinite, Fortnite is such a juggernaut at this point, along with Warzone and of course PUBG. It's hard to compete with that. And of course, Halo's multiplayer numbers are not like enormous from what I can tell at this point either. So it is a franchise that's perhaps not conducive to launching this kind of effort. And then also other big battle royales are not that successful or have not been that successful. Like I played a lot of Battlefield 5's Firestorm mode. Thought that was quite good. But that was not a huge success, and they didn't follow it up in 2042. Although I think they are following it up in the next big Battlefield title, apparently according to some leaks. But it just seems like a difficult space to enter into. But if you're bolting on a big Warzone type map, a big Battle Royale type map onto an existing game with existing mechanics, existing vehicles, existing guns, all that stuff already, I feel like that might be a bit of an easier thing to do here, and it might have been a very worthwhile mode because, you know, it does seem like a franchise that's really ripe for a Battle Royale entry for sure.
And there's one of the things that defines Battle Royale games are the quote unquote moments, you know, where crazy things happen and everybody's laughing about the results. And Halo has always had that built in. And a lot of it come down to some of the strategy. Like I remember in Hang 'em High, I always loved this. There was this in the original game, you could jump off a high ledge and there was an overshield down below. The height of that fall would normally kill you, right? But if you jumped off and landed on the overshield, you got that moment of invincibility that would save you. And so you would often result in a situation where people would be jumping off, surviving with the overshield, and either somebody would follow you down there and die, or, you know, you just create sort of these moments where you land, take dudes out, and you continue. Or the way weapons balance, like when you have a tank, for instance, the tank is extremely deadly in Halo, but if you have like a plasma-based weapon, for instance, you just unload on the turret of the tank driver, the rotation speed is decreased by the plasma weapon, meaning that they can't even aim at you anymore, right? So everything has this like rock, paper, scissors sort of mechanic going on. It was kind of part of the Halo mechanics that allows for this really fun interplay between things, which means even if you have a basic little plasma pistol, it doesn't mean you're out. Right? You can still use that to your advantage, and there are strategies there. And I think this sort of interplay between these crazy weapons is what would have made for a really cool Battle Royale experience that's more varied and interesting than perhaps what we already have.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, the lore is there. The weapons are there. The vehicles are there, you know, from everything from, you know, the Warthog right down to those gigantic starships. Everything is there that could have made this a really interesting game. But I can imagine that actually, you know, similar, well, I guess there's parallels of a kind to The Last of Us with its cancelled multiplayer where, you know, it could have been a project that was so big, it could have just overwhelmed the entire development. But yeah, we can only think about what might have been. But, you know, you just think about everything that Halo has to offer, the world building that they've managed to develop over the last couple of decades. And maybe it would have been just wish fulfillment to actually have a battle royale built around those elements. But those elements are there and it would have been fantastic. So I don't know, maybe at some point there'll be some leaks from these major cancelled projects that would have given us more indication of what might have been. But in the meantime, you know, I guess, yeah, this is an interesting one. And I can only assume that it was cancelled for good reason. That's the only thing I can really think of at that point.